tend to have this love-hate relationship with the big island of Hawaii as a triathlete. When things are going well, you love it, and very quickly turn on, you can hate the place. But I think that's what draws us back year after year. I've been out here for about 5 weeks. When training with other athletes, I had some younger guys here training with me, and seeing what they were able to do, I had to take confidence in the fact that I was a little older. I can't recover like they do, and maybe train smarter, not train harder. They were doing 100-mile run weeks. I was running probably between 90 and 110 kilometres, so they were doing 160. I was at about 75. Swim-wise, 15 miles a week, pretty consistently. Bike-wise, I matched pretty much what they were doing. I just dropped one intensity set, but I was doing about 600 miles on the bike. In the heaviest block of work, anywhere between 400 and 650 miles. For a race like Kona, where you have such a huge aerodynamic advantage with the Shiv over other bikes because of the crosswind advantages. They designed the bike specifically to perform better in crosswinds, and there is no race in the world like Kona when it comes to crosswinds. This race is one huge big crosswind. The time I've done a lot of work here on the island with the bike, and I love it. It rides well, it's comfortable. I've really nailed my fit over the last 12 months. I was out with the Specialized crew and nailed the BG Fit. It's a dream. I'm really, really happy with where I'm at. All in all, it's been, I'm in a happy place. I think I'm happy with my bike, I'm happy with the guys I'm with, and I'm happy to be here. I had spoken to my friend Pete Jacobs, who's a great swimmer, and said I wanted to start next to him in the race. It was very important for me to get a good start, and you know, I started next to him, and luckily Andy Potts was to my right as we took off. And I rode their wave because they're so powerful. They pull so much water forward. You get this bow wave, and I was able to sit on that and ride a lot quicker than swim a lot quicker than I probably could have on my own. And you know, by about half a mile into the swim, I was joined by Rasmus Henning, and I went, this is wonderful. I dived on his hip, and we led the pack out all the way to the far swim turn. I didn't get touched. My heart rate was down. My confidence really soared. I knew that was the critical point for me after last year. Got out of the swim in about 10th, roared through the transition area, and jumped on the bike, I think 3rd or 4th, and as I rolled out of there, I was with all the main players that were in the group last year, and I actually said, I ain't 3 minutes down this year, boys, game on. And I used to call it the lonely lava fields back in the day, because you're out there solo, but this year it seemed like there was that many guys riding together, there was no loneliness, the pack was huge, and I knew I just had to keep chilled. I'd said for years watching this race, the last 2 years, that to beat these smaller guys, these faster runners, you needed to be aggressive between Kauai High and Harvey and back to Kauai High. Reynard Tissing, the South African guy who's a strong biker, who I told him he needed to put himself in this bunch of bike riders, and we needed to go on this bike, and he moved past me. I told him, Reynard, hit the gas, let's go. We chased this group down. They had about 1:20 on us, and we both stayed committed to the chase. I looked back, and the group of runners didn't want to commit, and we were able to escape, and we rode onto the group of riders, and I knew once we were together there, it was, you know, it was going to be hard. You know, I got this smile on my face, like, oh, perfect. I couldn't have scripted this any better. And in the end, we held Lieto all the way back to transition, and had 8.5 minutes on the defending champ and the fast runners. And at that point, I knew I was one of the quickest runners between myself and Ray Lert in the group, and it was about putting together a good marathon. I felt magic, I must admit. I felt really, really good on the run, and I was really pushing to keep Andreas at bay, and I think I was pushing a little bit too hard. I just said to myself, hey, let's consolidate it. Let's accept he's going to catch you. Stop running on fear and start running on brains. Came out of the energy lab and I still had 35 seconds on him. I was shocked, especially when you're expecting to be caught coming out of the lab. And it prepared mentally for that. He hadn't picked me up. I thought, this is great. I wanted to keep him at a point where he thought the win was very, very possible, because I was right there, and you neglect little things. The hunt was still there, but it took him 3 miles to get me. Right as he picked me up, I was starting to feel really, really good. He caught me, and there's a famous race here in Hawaii, the Iron War they call it, 1989. Mark Allen and Dave Scott is probably the most talked about race in the island's history. We both started going up Mark and Dave Hill, they call it, and I was starting to feel good, and we went for an aid station. I pushed it a bit and I gapped him, and I was like, oh, it's still a long way from home here, let's don't blow it, let's be smart, you know. And we crested the hill together, we started dropping down, and I think that effort hurt him a little bit, because as we're coming down the hill with exactly a mile to go, he started calling for aid. There's the last aid station, but it's the last aid station, but it's really the aid station for 10 miles coming out. So no one really ever drinks at this last aid station, and as we were coming down, he yelled, "Coke, water, Coke, sponges." And I looked at him, I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, we're running for the title here, and I thought, just patience, 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 wait for him to get into that aid station. The minute he puts those hands up to grab those sponges and Coke, you know, you're looking at the person because you don't want to miss them. And the minute I saw him do it, I hit the gas on the outside. And by the time he grabbed the Coke and corrected, you're 15 metres in front. And that was the run for the title, and this is it. Just put your head down and go. And if he came over the top, then he was going to get me, but I just committed from there. And luckily it was enough. Where I'd been anticipating a sprint finish along a Leahy Drive, I was able to switch right onto I guess the hallowed turf of I guess it's the Champs-Élysées of Ironman. It's our hallowed turf, and really enjoy the last quarter mile of my second world title. It was a really sweet day.
Fastest time in Kona, it just captivates my career. I just feel honoured, humbled, tired, just absolutely stoked. I have an amazing support team, amazing group of partners and family and friends that come out and support me, and you know, for them to be here on this day, you know, it's just wonderful. It's emotional. I'm lost for words, and I'm rarely lost for words.